All right, welcome to our third edition of Face Off. I'm Ben Kaplan from KXLY 4. I don't know if you're going to recognize this guy.
Yeah, I'm the guy formerly known as the bearded Keith Osso from 700 ESPN, 1080 ESPN. Let's get right to the topics.
Yeah.
Big news out of Washington State this week. Faisal Aden done for the season, torn ACL. Big deal?
Oh, it's a big deal for the Cougs. Second leading scorer behind Brock Modem and was really heating up. He had, of course, the great weekend against Cal and Stanford. Never got it going against Arizona when he got hurt. The question is, who's going to step up now to replace that scoring? When Faisal missed 3 games earlier this year because of a concussion, Reggie Moore had 3 of his highest scoring games. That's who it's got to be. Was 3 for 10 from the field against Arizona, looking more for a shot. Also was facilitating with 8 assists, but he's got to start hitting that shot if the Cougs want to have any chance.
Not a big deal for the Cougs because losing to Arizona State and Utah on the road has pretty much sealed the fate of this team anyway. If you can't win road games, it doesn't matter what you do at home. I don't think that they're going to finish any different in the standings than where they are right now, which is near the bottom of the Pac-12. So unfortunately for the Cougs, I think that this is maybe not a sign of things to come, but maybe a symbol of what this season has been and just missed opportunity.
How much does it stink, though, Klay Thompson and D'Angelo Castro, if they would have come back,
this team would be
would have been the class. And a lot of schools can say if our guys would have come back, but in Pullman, you expect guys to stay 4 years. That's what the class before that did. That led to a lot of success. Okay, the Super Bowl is Sunday. Keith was right on his prediction. I was off the team, but we're going to predict now who's going to win. Is it going to be the Giants or the Patriots?
I think the Patriots are going to win. I know their defense sucks, and I know the pass rush for the Giants is a bad mismatch. It's actually a bad matchup for the Patriots. The Giants do have advantages, but I think Tom Brady's really going to respond after playing what he called a subpar game in the AFC Championship. And when he plays with a chip on his shoulder, he's the best quarterback in the league. If he can play that way, Patriots win this game.
I think Tom Brady's on the downside. And I know that people will scratch their heads and ask about that. I want to say, show up in a big game. It's been a while. The one against the Broncos, I thought the Broncos stunk anyway, so I'm going to throw that out.
Their defense was pretty good, though. The Broncos' defense was pretty good. Their offense sucked. When Tim Tebow's off, and they're not very good. But their defense is pretty good, and he threw 6 touchdowns against that team and did throw for 5,000 yards this year. If that's a guy on a downward slope, that's a pretty good guy.
Everybody in the NFL threw for 5,000 yards this year. I'm going with the Giants, and the reason why I'm doing it is because nothing seems to faze them. They're on the road. They barely get in the playoffs. They get it done. They beat New England last time they played, earlier this season, and in the Super Bowl. I think that they've got the confidence, and they don't have the pressure. I think the pressure is still on New England to go ahead and prove that they can win the big game again.
I agree with the pressure point, but I still pick New England. Media Day yesterday at the Super Bowl, always an entertaining event, not really a news-gathering event anymore. After the woman in the dress asking Tom Brady to marry her a couple years ago, any significance as a media thing of this is completely out the window. Do you like Media Day?
Well, you've been there.
Yeah.
I like it from watching it. I've never been there from a standpoint. I think it's entertaining. And, hey, it's the biggest game on the biggest platform you'll have in all of sports. Why not have some fun? Let these guys enjoy the fact that they're the last 2 teams standing. But you've been there, so you could speak to it from that point.
Favorite moment from Media Day when the Seahawks were in the Super Bowl, Gilbert Godfrey asked Matt Hasselbeck to tell him a joke. And Matt Hasselbeck said, in life, there's 3 kinds of people, those that can count and those that can't. It's my favorite Media Day memory. Gonzaga BYU this week. BYU is kind of a little bit of trouble right now in the WCC. The new team that's expected to be in the top 3. They've lost 2 home games already. Gonzaga needs to keep pace with St. Mary's. St. Mary's beat BYU over the weekend. Is this, I don't want to say must win, but how important is this game for Gonzaga?
Well, I think it's important to prove that they can be dominant on the road. I mean, they struggled with Portland for most of that game. They struggled at LMU, and we know what happened at Santa Clara. I think Gonzaga's really got to come out. They've had some rest, only 1 game last week, and say, hey, this is what we are, and we can get the job done on the road against the BYU team that at 6-3 still has some force, but is a much different looking team than they were last year.
It's amazing. BYU came into the conference, and they had a great year last year. Jimmer Fredette, one of the best players in the country, if not the best, and everybody just assumed this team would be at the top of the WCC. Ooh, there's a new dog in town. Well, they lost to LMU and St. Mary's already at home. Gonzaga, the big dog of the conference, hasn't even come to town yet. I think BYU has to win this game. And if you're Gonzaga, it's not a must-win game, but you can't afford to go 2 games back at St. Mary's. This is the only way to make sure you still control your own destiny, because they do get another crack at St. Mary's. If they can get a season split with them and win out the rest of the games, they tie for another division or conference championship. So not a must-win for Gonzaga, but pretty important game.
I think it is a must-win for them, only just because I think St. Mary's right now is the class in this conference. And to go 2 games back, I don't think St. Mary's loses, other than possibility when they come to Gonzaga. I think that game is next week. Okay, National Letter of Intent Day tomorrow. People make such a big deal out of this. We're taping this on Tuesday right now. Keith, do you think that the big deal is warranted?
I understand the excitement because without recruiting, your program is nothing. You have to have good recruits in order to make a good program. And especially at Washington State with Mike Leach, everybody's got all this excitement going around. And so what's his first class going to be like? On the grand scheme of things, is Wednesday the biggest day in the history of mankind? Not really. I mean, professionals are wrong all the time on who's a 3-star guy, a 4-star guy, a 5-star guy. There's only 2 5-star guys playing in the Super Bowl this year. Only 2, 1 for each team. So how big are those guys as far as can't-miss guys? I think it's important in the grand scheme of things. As far as an actual holiday of National Letter of Intent Day, I think it's way overblown.
I think throw the rankings out the window. I look back at a lot of Leach's classes when he was at Texas Tech. I believe the highest he had was a 17. The Cougs right now, I think, are in the low to mid-60s. Okay, you need to get guys that fit your system and can play the way you play. So if you're obsessed with the star ratings and stuff, you're going to be upset because lots of times the classes that are really successful aren't the ones that have the most stars attached, but are the ones that fit the system of the coach. And we'll see if Leach's continued success from what he did at Texas Tech is able to continue here at Washington State with the class that he has. It won't be the highest rated.
And I'll give you an example of Texas Tech and Mike Leach and guys he brought in. When they brought in Graham Harrell, did everybody throw a party and say, we got Graham Harrell? No, but he was an All-American quarterback, and if he going to recruit a quarterback that has those kind of numbers in Pullman, he's going to shatter the Washington State record books. It doesn't matter who they get as long as it's a guy the coach knows they can win with. As far as what they do on YouTube and what they do on scouts.com, that doesn't matter. What matters is how they play the game of football and how they do it for Coach Mike Leach. So while it's important in the grand scheme of things, I think the actual holiday of National Letter of Intent Day is just ridiculous.
Yeah, throw it out the window. But I think Cougs fans have reason to be excited just looking
There's hope.
At what's being brought in.
There's hope. There's hope around the program because of the talent they already have. There's hope because Mike Leach is in town. So anything right now that is Washington State, they're going to wave the flag, be crazy, and have a pirate patch on their eye. Go Washington State. I think it's a big day in the grand scheme of things. All right, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Face Off Radio versus TV. We'll see you next week and talk about the Patriots being the world champions.